Fello is basically a gaming and savings application for the Gen Z and young millennial of India, where you're trying to merge the world of gaming and finance so that people can build better financial profiles. And we're basically trying to make finance extremely fun and exciting.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode. Today we have another special guest. His name is Manish Maryada. He's the founder and CEO of a very different app, I'd say, called Fello. It's an app which is mixing investing and online games in a very interesting way, where probably you can get more returns while investing on this app than a traditional bank account. So thank you, Manish, for joining us today, and I'm really looking forward to diving right into this conversation.
Thanks a lot, Davik. Super excited to have this conversation with you as well. Like it's been a long pending conversation for us to have, but super happy that we finally had this opportunity to catch up and speak along with you as well and share a couple of our journey.
Absolutely. So, Manish, I think the first thing is I'd like to first tell you that I have come across a bunch of apps in the last, I would say, past 2 years, 3 years, but I think the app that you created is, I would say, extremely different. The moment I downloaded out of curiosity, I would say it was sort of a network effect. Like Pramod reached out to me and he's like, okay, do you know about this app called Fello and this? And I was like, okay, that sounds very interesting. That's how I downloaded it. So I just wanted to ask you, the first point is like, where did you like come up with this idea? Because that really intrigues me as a co-founder and an entrepreneur, that how do people come up with these ideas? So can you just tell me what originated the concept of Fello?
Absolutely. So basically me and Shaurya, we happened to meet each other at this talent investor program called Entrepreneur First, where they select 50 individuals out of 3,000 plus applications, and they expect these 50 individuals to form teams of two and build a company together. I came from a business side of finance, and Shaurya came from tech side of finance, and we started having synergies and we decided let's build company together. Initially, we were sort of beer buddies, and eventually we turned out to be great co-founders. So when we started ideating, right, we wanted our customer research to be very, generic and non-skewed fashion. So we started speaking with people. We floated down several survey forms with very generic questions, absolutely generic questions to understand their lifestyles, etc. Like, kya karte hai, kya nahi karte hai. And finally, the first problem statement, what we found was people are not inclined towards healthy finance at all. Like the data points, what we noticed was 60% of the people whom we spoke did not have enough money to meet their next 3-month needs. Then we noticed that a massive percentage of people never invest in, equities market or the mutual funds market, and everyone is just saving money in the traditional savings bank account. And 80% of them were just saving in SBI. Like that is something we found out as well. Now, if you see SBI just gives 3 to 4, not even 3 to 4%, that the basic saving bank gives 2.75% returns. And that is what they're relying on. If you see the inflation is 6%. So it was very clearly established that, finances or the financial health is very poor, especially for the Gen Z and young millennial. But we thought of coming with potential problem statements for these particular target users within 21 to 25-year-old working individuals within Gen Z and young millennial segment. We thought of coming up with an robo-advisory platform where we take in their messages, compile some data and do something or other. There was this very amazing application based out of United Kingdom, which we closely followed. I mean, I personally followed for the last 2 years, which was Clio, and we wanted to start building Clio for India. But then we noticed that, there were a lot of apes or a lot of similar applications like Clio in India, which are trying to give robo-advisory solutions based on, their personal, messages, what they're getting in terms of transaction history and all. Then we thought, and this is not solving the problem statement in a good way. Then what we did was we did second round of customer interviews with the same target people with whom jinke saath humne service kiya tha. And these questions were absolutely again generic. From the morning 6 o'clock to you wake up till the time you sleep, what do you do? What are the apps you consume? With whom do you speak? What activities you do? This was what we sort of did as a second round of interview. This is where the idea started weaving in. 90% of the users whom we spoke were using only Google Pay. We asked why are you using Google Pay? Because, we get these scratch cards. Whenever we're doing an online mode of payment, we get these scratch cards. It's fun for me. And through that, they just adapted a new mode of payment completely. From cash, they got converted into digital mode of payment. That was the first data point we found. If you give incentives to someone, they adapt something healthy, which is beneficial for them.
Correct.
The second massive data point, what we found out was 70% of the users with whom we spoke were absolutely glued towards these paid and fantasy games and casual games like Dream 11, Spin Patties, Candy Crush, etc. They are putting 50 rupees to win these 50 lakh rupees but you technically don't win those prizes.
Yeah.
The probability is very, very less.
Very skewed.
When we ask these people, like, why are you doing this? They told that 50 pe, like 50 pe humko like 50 lakh mil sakta hai, but they don't know the root economics that they're actually gambling over here. But if you draw parallels, Devik, what happens in the trading ecosystem and this fantasy gaming ecosystem is दोनों पे 50-50 रुपए डाल दीजिए आप. Here in the fantasy gaming, risk to reward is extremely high. That is why people are excited because immediate gratification होता है. But savings, they need to wait. They need to put their brains into it. That is why they're not excited. But they love the experience of gaming, but they don't like the waiting and whatever is involved in traditional finance. Then we thought that let's give the gaming experience to these people. जो भी backend infrastructure, let's put it with financial world and let's see how people behave to it. And that is how the idea of Fello concepts, like we wanted to merge gaming and finance together, where front-end engine will be pure gaming experience, with back-end with people actually save and invest. That was the hypothesis what we had. We launched a very basic version of the MVP, and just within 4 to 5 weeks, we got over 2,000 users using the application.
Wow.
And majority, at least 60% of them were investing on the application. 70% were first-time investors, and 75% of people just came in through referrals. And once this traction came in, even entrepreneur first got onboarded as a lead investors. They saw that there's something very unique these guys are building, and they actually validated something interesting. That is how the idea of Fello came up for us.
Wow. First of all, I think that's an amazing, amazing story. What I'd like to say is now I have a bunch of questions, right? Which I've taken mental notes of. First is, how did you find the first concept which I liked is the survey of asking users and like really building a product by speaking to people rather than just blindly building a product and hoping that people would like it. So I think that approach is very useful of like asking people. I'd just like to ask you that how did you find this user base or audience to survey? Because me and my partner, like a lot of entrepreneurs face that challenge. Like okay, we have questions to ask, but if it's friends and family, it's a very biased opinion, right? Because they're like, dost hai, beta hai, whatever. So just wanted to ask first question, how did you find this audience? Is there a specific place? Just wanted to know what your perspective is.
Very simple thing which everyone does, Devik, within every Facebook group, we just posted out the survey form. We told ki please answer this survey form. Like whoever is sort of answering it, one lucky winner will get 500 rupees worth of Amazon gift voucher. People started filling left, right, center. I posted on my LinkedIn, I posted on Facebook groups. I also spent like 1,000 rupees ad to run this on a day-to-day basis. And I got so much information. That is one thing what I did. Second thing, what we did was once the pandemic opened up, right? Me and Shaurya flew to Bangalore and we went out on streets, bus coffee peete the, and we used to randomly talk to people around, pep chat hota tha. And when I used to squeeze it, hey, like by the way, we're just entrepreneurs and we're trying to build something cool. Like, what do you do? That's how we started getting, in-person data points also. We used to make sure that we are completing a customer survey over a cup of tea with some random people. We actually went to this bar in Koramangala called Bob Barley. Daru pite, we did customer interviews for a few people as well. So that is how we got all these information and data points. Phone number bhi liya tha sabse hum. And then that's how the first round of interviews were done. Then we wanted to come with a solution for it. The same people, once they recognize, oh, I actually spoke with you, right? So why don't I sort of again have another round of interviews? Also with the Excel sheets also, we made sure that we are calling them up as well. And we introduced ourselves as not like any typical call center people. We told that, hey, I'm the product manager of this XYZ company, so credibility bhi badh jata hai. So that is how we sort of got all these user insights.
That's quite an interesting hack. And now the second question is I'd say that I hope you would have bumped into me at some bar. I think we would have had a very interesting conversation as well. So now I'd say ki when you're starting something in terms of a finance-based app, right? Now people have there is a brand credibility before people start making money. Because if I come as an individual, I don't know what Fello is about. There is a concept out there. So I just wanted to understand that there are a lot of challenges that you must have faced in the initial days in building trust. So how did you go about that? Was it marketing? Just wanted to know what you did in those early days to gain your first 2,000 users.
Undoubtedly, Daivik. I guess, every fintech company faces this issue right on day one. Because people are putting in their hard-earned money over there and they're not ready to trust any fintech applications. That is why if you see any finance app, they start out with very small amounts like 10 rupees, 20 rupees, 100 rupees. That is basically what happens. So when we initially launched the proof of concept of the application also, this is something what we faced as well. A lot of people are coming and playing games, but very small number of people are actually putting in money to start saving and investing. We started asking them, like, hey, like, I noticed that you're very active on the application, you're playing games and all, but why aren't you saving in a very good way? They simply told that I don't know who you are, point one. And I just see a Fellow logo over there. And how can I trust someone like Fellow? Jo bolte like, like we're just two bunch of entrepreneurs who just started building a company. Then we sort of looked into other fintech applications. We asked these people, like, what makes you trust an app like SBI? What makes you trust an app like Grow, Zerodha, etc.? The very simple thing what they told us, we see the logos of these banks, we see the logos of Amphies and all these things. We already had those partnerships. So just within a short time, we cracked a partnership with ICICI Prudential Mutual Fund. We got our Amphi licenses done, but so many things were happening at the table that we missed out on the small product hacks of putting these logos. We just put in these logos and then we started conversions happening in a better way. But that wasn't enough at all. And that's not enough for any fintech company as well.
Correct.
You need to have very robust customer support because people want, this is what people expect as well. They want instant deposits and instant withdrawals.
Correct.
And candidly, majority of the companies literally can't offer that. At least, if you see Grows and Zerodhas, they give T+1 withdrawals, but still people, since we are targeting the first time investors, they expect the money to come very instantly as well. So you need to have very strong support team as well. So me and my intern were making sure that we're sitting on the support. For the first 2 months, I was just on support, nothing else. Responding back to the user. We had a WhatsApp support channel telling that, hey, thanks for reaching out. Your money will be getting into your bank account when T+1 days. Rest assured your money is safe. You need to tell this. Rest assured your money is safe. Trust me, that even brought up trust and credibility. And once the money is in the bank account, they start tweeting about you. They start referring about you. Agar ek din bhi late hota hai, they start giving negative feedback about you. So just plugging in these logos and just having a good support team has really helped us out in establishing trust and credibility during the mission.
No, absolutely. And I think another inspiring, I would say, activity which you've done, which I'm very inspired by, is that you spent your first 2 months, it would have been out of, I would say, without any choices, that you spent your first 2 months with customer support, because you really understood the challenges that your people who are using your product were facing, which made you much more equipped to really solve real problems rather than solve problems which you think are actually a problem. So I think that would have really improved the kind of problem solving that happened in the first few months.
Undoubtedly, like even today, like I spend 2 to 3 hours of my total day into customer support, because right now we're in the growth stage, especially we're in the growth stage, very important to understand user issues at a very granular level. Two things happen out of customer interviews. One, you get to know your current problem statements. Two, you get to know what a user is actually expecting so that you can start molding your future product as well.
Correct.
And this is something what I completely understood by looking at the founders of my previous company. I worked at this company called Coinex, eventually pivoted to Flowbus. I literally saw the founders sitting there taking customer interviews on a day-to-day basis. And that's how they came with brilliant ideas. And they just replicated those same learnings over here. That is what me and Shaurya also do right now. We make sure that a significant time is dedicated into customer queries. And another thing also happens over here. Once they and we also tell that, like Manish, Maryada CEO is actually talking with you. Unko bhi thoda bhav aa jata hai, okay, like the CEO himself is sort of addressing my problem. So the initial days, it's very, very crucial to establish that trust and credibility. And I feel customer success team or customer support is the best way to sort of communicate it to your customers.
Yeah, and I think the overall experience as a I would say consumer or a user of the app, knowing that the CEO of the company or the co-founder of the company is giving me a direct call, automatically creates a sort of network effect, because I'll go out with 5 of my friends and be like, I mean, do you know about this app? The CEO called me. So I think that
Undoubtedly.
Yeah, I think that automatically creates a very wide network effect. And also another thing which you touched on about social media. I think that you rightly said social media is like a two-sided sword. It's something that can go in your favor and can go against you. You just need to, and there is no, I would say, no lying, no hiding. Everyone's all out and all
Undoubtedly. Couldn't agree with you more on that front.
Yeah, so I think that you need to really build that and really manage that really well to make sure that people are speaking very positively, because one wrong decision, one mistake can like really take you backwards in terms of that journey.
And right now, like if you see also, Daivik, like social medias are not just the brand of a company is not just driven by the social media accounts of the company alone. it is also driven by the entire team members also.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
also make sure that whenever I am sort of posting content, when Shaurya is posting content, make sure that it is in the pitch perfect way possible. Taki,
Mm.
like we just don't sort of step out of something
Mm.
which is sort of creating ripple effect out there in a very negative way.
Correct. So that was another question which I wanted to ask you actually. Now that you brought it up, I'll ask you that question. So there are some
Yeah.
founders who or some people, there are people, two kinds of people, introverts, extroverts, people who are out there, people who just like to stay behind the scene, two types of people. Point
Yep.
being that I observed that your LinkedIn, you've been quite active on LinkedIn and various other social media platforms.
Yeah.
So I actually wanted
Yeah.
to ask you that, is there a specific reason in terms of the brand that you're building and improving the credibility? Like, is that the reason, or do you personally just enjoy it irrespective of Fellow or building a company? Wanted to ask you that
Oh,
question.
I am a big time social animal, point
Yeah.
one. So right from my college days, trust me, I was out there. I was into photography. Like my Facebook was bombarded with a lot of my personal photographs.
Yeah.
My LinkedIn, also my Instagram, I keep it. I don't keep my Instagram open. I have it very close. But if someone
Mm.
is there in my friends list, they can
Mm.
see updates coming in every day. A couple of my
Yeah.
friends ask me, "Are you working or even chilling?" I go to cafes and sort of work nowadays. So that's how I am.
Yeah.
But why I'm extremely active on LinkedIn is for two particular reasons over here, David. See, I don't want to sort of completely be fake around by saying that, oh, I don't want my company's visibility going out. Like that's something which everyone does it. But from my personal capacity also, like if you see what happened in the last 3-4 years, I myself, it was extremely challenging for me as well. Like I came back from the United States in 2017 without doing any job out there. And it was a very, bold move which I took,
Yeah.
especially having a huge loan on the head.
Mm.
Secondly, I left all the other jobs and started working in an early stage startup with a
Yeah.
very meager salary as well.
Yeah.
Now, that is when people started asking me through my personal DMs, like, hey, like, how exactly are you doing? And
Mm.
that is when I felt that why don't I start sharing my experiences to people so that, people also understand, like, this is how I sort of got into it. And that's how, like, I sort of tackle those challenges. And even if you see whatever I post on my LinkedIn also, it is a very fine balance.
Mm.
I guess 70% is my personal experiences rather than, and 30% will be just about company,
Yeah.
which my
Yeah.
marketing team is challenging big time. You're posting more of yourself and less about the company. You should start
Yeah.
posting more of the company. But I want to sort of isolate both of them in a
Yeah.
very good way. Taki, I just give my learnings to the entrepreneurial community out there. So that
Correct.
is why I'm sort of using it rather than building an image or something. That's not the main
No.
criteria.
No, I think you should continue doing that. And I think the importance of building a personal brand in times like these is essential. Like a lot of people are speaking about it. And building that personal brand also gives a lot of credibility to you as an entrepreneur and your company in turn. So, I mean, I think the balance which you're striking is perfect. And
Absolutely.
coming to the point where you mentioned that you came back from the US,
Yeah.
I read about that in your, I think, one of your most recent posts on LinkedIn while researching.
Yes.
Uh, First of all, kudos, man. You really need, yeah, you really need. I have a
Thank
lot
you.
of friends. I passed out of engineering in 2016, right? So a lot of my
Okay.
friends are still out there and they're like so stressed. So I would say having a job, it's a boon and a bane, right? You have a job, but you don't
Yeah.
have a visa. You don't have a job, you
Yes.
have a student loan. So I think all of these friends
Yep.
of mine, it has just made them in such strong characters and such strong people because they're like out there living on their own due to COVID, you've not come
Yes.
home for 3 years. It's quite a challenging period. So I'd say that once you came back, I think that now I'm clear that you took that risk. You had that risk taking ability since then you came back.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
Another bigger risk I think which you took was joining an early stage startup. So what was
Yes.
like the thinking behind that decision, and how did your parents like really react to
Oh,
that?
my parents gave up on me. Point one. Like, let me establish that very clearly to you.
Yeah,
Firstly, as soon as I told I'm coming back, see, though they gave up on me, they always knew ki, like, they
कुछ तो
trusted me
कर
with my
लेगा, हाँ,
actions. Point
कुछ तो
one.
करेगा, yeah,
But that 2017 August till 2018 August, my dad literally did not know what exactly I was doing with my life. I still remember August 1st, I messaged my dad, I'm coming back to India. I sort of came to India on August 9th, and then I started looking out for jobs. And like I was interviewing with Goldman, I was interviewing with several other small boutique investment banks and several other companies. I actually cracked two interviews in other MNCs as well. But right from the days when I was in US itself, I was into cryptocurrencies. I had an
yeah,
Alienware in a
yeah.
very faint capacity. I just used to sort of mine. I
Mm.
did not get much out of it. It was a very,
Mm-hmm.
weak engine. But I got to understand the trades of, cryptocurrencies in back in 2016. And my brother, my cousin brother, he randomly messaged me saying that, hey, there's this cryptocurrency company called CoinX where I'm trading, and they're looking out for someone who's in the field of finance. So why don't you sort of go and give a shot?
Yeah.
Then, my friends were also staying in Mumbai, and I was like, okay, let me go to sort of Mumbai. And I know if I did my master's in finance also, by the way. So I thought even if I want to pursue a career in finance, let me go. Let's see what happens over there. Rahul, Aditya, these were the people with whom I spoke. Trust me, they are my big time mentors right now. Like any problem, even today, I sort of reach out to them and sort of help me out with a lot of things. We even did not have any conversation. We did not have an interview.
Correct.
We just, the conversation what you and me are having, we're talking about what potential products can we think about in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. Right now, I'm very happy that such products are coming out there. And me and Rahul, we're speaking on that interview day, whatever you want to call it, but interview nahi. That is when I knew that this company is going somewhere and these founders are going to go somewhere. Right now, they're literally somewhere as well. So I told them, and actually, they did not give me the job offer, by the way. They told that, we might not be able to afford you. And I told that I love your company and I'm ready to work as an intern. And so I called my job offer. You tell yes right now. Next week I'm coming and working. I literally believed the company, and trust me, that is the best decision which I've ever taken in my life till date. If I'd have been in an MNC, trust me, I wouldn't have been talking with you right now in whatever capacity I am. The learning curve has been immense, and that is what excited me to sort of join the startup rather than anything. And also, like way back during my early days of college itself, always wanted to enter into the startup ecosystem, and I felt that this could be the great way how I can tap into the startup ecosystem.
No, that's quite cool. And then from there, I followed like you did a few jobs, and then you joined Entrepreneur First. So could you tell me a little more, because I'm personally very curious about that, on what that is and how you got into it. I just wanted to know a little more.
I actually did not do a lot of jobs. I continued with CoinX only. CoinX later pivoted to Flowbiz. I mean, like because of the cryptocurrency regulations, the company had to take a pivot. The team stayed with it. The founding team, like me and the other people stayed with it. The entire team stayed with it, by the way. And once the team got pivoted to Flowbiz, that is a point of time I realized that I understood the trades of building a company. And because by working directly with the co-founders, one of the biggest thing what you get to know, you know to build a company. Then I felt that, you always wanted to get into this. And one of my very close friend, colleague of CoinX and Flow, which is the director of products, his name is Siddharth Seth. He knew that I was sort of starting up, and I always had this vision of starting up. And I reached out to him and I told that, hey, like this thing. And he told me that you should actually explore this thing called as Entrepreneur First. And he himself was an alumni of Entrepreneur First Singapore. And unfortunately, like he wasn't able to establish a startup for very valid reasons. But he came back and worked at CoinX as a director of products. He told me that you should explore EF for two reasons, because at that point of time, I was looking out for a technical co-founder, because the ideas, whatever I had, were mostly tech driven. I know I can't code, but I can speak tech because I was working in a product manager capacity as well. And secondly, EF helps you in giving the base and launch pad to sort of launch your company. And of course, a CTO. Then I thought that, okay, let me give a shot. Kuch hone ka nahi hai. So I randomly happened to sort of leave CoinX and apply to EF, got into EF Bangalore batch. And after that, there was no looking back. I found Shaurya. We both started, ideating a lot. It appears to sound like a love story only. That's what, all the successful stories at EF sort of sound up as well. But we happened to meet, and, EF, I feel it's one of the best, incubators out there in India at this point of time. I'm not just telling this because we are an EF funded company today, but also because I personally saw what EF made me into today and what EF did for the entire Fello as a company as well. So EF is giving all those things what a startup or like an entrepreneur needs on a platter. Now, firstly, you get a co-founder, as I told you. Secondly, they help you with initial stages of building the company by giving you an entrepreneur in distance. And these people are like some of the best exited startup co-founders. And thirdly, agar aapka idea acha hai, to pre-seed funding bhi dete hain. And not just this, once you're pre-seed funded, they assign you a dedicated advisor. And this advisor helps you out till your next stage of funding, which is up to seed level. And if they love your company over there also, they're even giving you a seed level investment. That is how we happen to get that seed level investment from EF. So right from ideation till the growth stage, they're helping you out with absolutely zero risk involved, because they're also going to give you a stipend of $2,000 monthly. Now, what else can I sort of expect when I'm trying to start up? And that is what EF did. And I feel, whoever is trying to explore into the startup ecosystem, they should surely give a shot at EF if they have, no other leads or they have nothing within their immediate availability to start up. So yeah, that's what EF is doing to the startup community today.
Wow, I think that's quite cool. I mean, so from what I understand as a startup founder, they have addressed the main
Yes,
challenges which you face. Like finding the right partner.
everything,
Yeah, finding the right
everything.
partner, finding the right advisor, a bunch of things. Because I'd say, to be honest with you, me and my partner Apilash, my journey was pretty similar to yours. I completed my engineering. I studied 3D printing, and there was a point where my coach was like a 6 month, 36-month internship. And
Yeah.
I applied for this internship in this one company in Mumbai, a medical 3D printing
Hmm.
company. My college found out that I had applied on my own. They said that now we
Okay.
will not let you sit for the college placements. You need to do
Okay.
everything on your own now. And the founder of that company, which I had applied to, she said no. She said, "I'm so sorry. Like, you're from Pune, our company is in Mumbai, and I can't pay you.
Okay.
I can't give you any." Like, she's like, "I can't give you anything apart from like a space to sit in my office and a problem to solve." And I said,
Hmm.
"That's all I need." I said, "I'll come to Mumbai. I'll cover my stay. I said, I'll cover all my expenses. I don't need a
I
stipend
guess
either."
those are the bets which you take, which pay out in a really, really good way as well.
Exactly. Exactly. And
Yeah.
those 6 months, trust me, for me, first was moving from Pune to Mumbai, completely outside comfort zone. Going from
Yes.
like living in the comfort of your house with your parents to moving to another city with 4 people, 6 people. We were like 6 people in a 2 BHK in Mumbai. So it was like
Hmm.
quite intense. And that really taught me so much because of 6 months, I had zero expect from work, right? I was like, just give me a problem to solve and let me just go at
Exactly.
it. And those 6 months really, I would say, gave me the confidence to take a leap of faith right after. So after my internship, I did like a 6 to 7 month period where I was just freelance designing, waiting for my partner, who is now my partner, to at that point quit the company. So I bumped into him at the
Oh, this is an
company, and
amazing
then
story.
yeah, so I was waiting. I had taken a leap of faith. I still remember. Not a lot of people know this, but I spent 7 months freelance designing, and at that point, I made
Okay.
practically no money. Right, practically no money,
Okay.
and you tend to fall into this loop where you compare yourself with your friends and
Undoubtedly.
people around you and everything. And there were times where,
There's a very strong thing which I totally recommend. I don't know, like whoever is sort of listening to this
yeah,
podcast or seeing this podcast is, please don't compare yourselves to your
yeah,
friends
yeah,
because you both are in different journeys.
yeah,
The same friend is regretting that is not able to do what you're doing.
exactly,
I sort of heard my friend literally saying
yeah,
this because there was a point of time even I myself felt like why did I even have to come back from the United States?
yeah.
Like I could have just had some patience and stayed over there,
Stayed there.
chilled out in SF or something.
Yeah,
But like right now, I have absolutely zero regrets for whatever I did with those very haphazard or indecisive actions what I
yeah,
did back then.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, actually, I mean, even when I was in that phase, I actually consciously kept talking to myself. I was like, listen, stop comparing. Just be happy for everyone. And just realize that
yes,
it's just a waiting period. And like you said, everyone's at like different places in their journey. And it's just a matter of time that
undoubtedly,
you will get there. And then
yeah,
cut to, I
yeah,
would say, Feb 2018, Abhilash and I started. We started from like
okay,
one small office, which was about 200 square feet. From two of us to
uh-huh.
like now 22 of us in close to 1800 square feet office. So, I mean, we've also had that journey and we've also scaled a lot, which brings me to the second part, which I wanted to ask you is that you also, before this interview started, before this call started, you told me that you went from 8 people to 13 people in the last 2 months.
Yes,
So, you raised
yes,
capital. I had a
yes,
query there for you. We've also raised capital, but that was from one single investor as an angel investor.
yeah,
Now, when I
yes.
saw the kind of capital you've raised close to $1 million, and there are 6 to 7 people, right? So I just
Yes,
wanted to understand how that
yes.
happens. Like, is it like a bunch of people coming together to put that fund in different ratios? Like, and how did you find all of those
It's
people? As a
it's very simple. Like we basically had a basic investment strategy as well right from day one. We wanted to make sure that we want to have at least 30%. So once entrepreneur first came in as the lead investors, and the capital comes very quickly from entrepreneur first because we have been under the incubator right from day one.
hmm,
So the capital comes very quickly, and we just had to allocate the remaining 500 k whatever we want. We did not want to extend our round size more than a million because like you're selling out a lot of your company as well
yeah,
at the stage what we did not want to do it, so we
yeah,
capped ourselves to just 1 million, and with the remaining 50 500k whatever was left, we had a very good strategy that we wanted to have Indian investors out of it because we want to get it validated within the Indian investors also having on the cap table, because very important when you're sort of building an Indian company, and not having any Indian investors on the cap table, it turns out to be very difficult as well for you to run the business in the long run. Because when you're going for a next round of fundraising, they'll just ask you like, hey, you built a company, great, but where are Indian investors? You don't have any validation from Indian investors. So that is when we thought that 30% of the remaining, out of the remaining size, let's allocate like 300K towards Indian investors, and remaining 200K, we'll just keep it open out there just for the capital purposes. And then with the remaining with the Indian investors, we wanted to be absolutely strategical. When we say strategy, we wanted advisors to get to turn into investors, because these advisors are the people who give us so immense value to you, so immense knowledge to you. These are veterans out there, ex-CEOs, ex-CXOs, who know how startups work, they build startups. We wanted to have such sort of people onto the cap table. And that is how we got Ashneer, who is the CEO of, right now the MD of Bharat Pay. We got Bala Parthasarathy, who has been very helpful right from day one. Once we sort of got him onboarded, we have the stellar micro VC company called Upsparks. They themselves, their founders 10 years ago, they exited in USA to a huge company under the stock exchange, and they have their great growth story, and they have their great growth team. So that is how we sort of divided who we want on the cap table and why these particular people also onto the cap table. And right now we have a great mix of international investors and Indian investors. International for the reason that in the long run, we have a really good roadmap of going global as well. They really help us out. And also the Indian investors, they help us out in connections, expansion in India, and whatever they could bring us onto the table with their Indian connections.
Wow, that's quite cool. Actually, when I went through your list of investors, I immediately recognized Ashneer from Bharat Pay, because I've been following Shark Tank recently, and I've been seeing him on that.
Yes, I just showed to my parents that hey, he's my investor. Like, you're just fooling around with it. Like, he's not an anchor. He's a big CEO. I had to explain him, and then we had to show him, he's one of our investors. But
I think your parents have had quite a roller coaster ride with you, from you giving.
They had massive heart attacks. They had massive heart attacks, and right now I feel that they're the happiest people on the planet I could feel, because they saw things that are actually happening with them. This guy is not making things out of thin air. It was until the funding news came in the paper, my parents were not ready to believe what's happening with them. I mean, like in the online articles and all. So that is when they saw that actually it's happening. Then my dad opened up the Play Store and saw, okay, 1 lakh, they actually crossed. So this guy is actually doing something from this. So but they're super happy with wherever I am right now.
Yeah, I think that it's I'd say we should be grateful to have parents who are I would say
undoubtedly
able to give us that space to explore, because there are a lot of people out there who are wanting to do something but they don't get the space or freedom to do that.
I mean, I just want to sort of just squeeze this into the podcast as well. Like, one thing what we see in a typical Indian environment right now, we say that people are growing, generations are changing, but unfortunately I hear so many stories that parents are not being put towards people, kids becoming entrepreneurs, trying different paths, let it be sports, let it be arts, let it be anything apart from engineering and doctors. Now, in such a sort of a thing, a family was sort of supported when I wanted to come back to India, taking up a job in startup. It was a very big social stigma as well, because if you see in an Indian ecosystem, coming back to India itself, you have a loser stamp on you. Second, taking up a startup means aapko bade company mein job nahi mila hai. That is how they perceive. Taking up all the social stigma, hammering, just having the belief that you will do something. That is something I'm completely indebted towards them. And I really feel that if every parent starts thinking in such a way that let them try, they're trying to do something, even if they fall, let us support them. I guess we'll get a lot more such amazing entrepreneurs, and not just entrepreneurs, but even sportsmen and all these people who are shining out in different fields in recent times. And then one common parallel what I saw in budding entrepreneurs today, and even people who are excelling in their fields, is parents had the same psyche, and parents had the same thought process as well. They took a lot of badgering, but right now they are extremely proud of what their kids are also doing, and I feel I'm pretty fortunate to have such amazing family and friends.
No, absolutely, man. I think this is a moment where I think it's a huge shout out to all the parents out there.
Oh
And all the
yes,
kids
big
out there who
time.
are probably listening to this, I think if anyone who's listening and wants to convince their parents, you can go and tell them Manish's story, where you can tell them that
much,
had your
much,
parents
much, much
not,
humbled, much
yeah,
humbled.
had your
I mean,
parents
like,
not
yeah,
supported you, probably there would have not been an app today on the Play Store with 1 lakh downloads. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting.
much humbled to hear that.
Yeah. No, I think it's very crucial because when even I started 3D printing, so I think I got into 3D printing because of my dad as well. Because I sat down with
Yes.
him, I said, I've completed my mechanical engineering, but I don't want to go down that path. Like, what can I do
Okay.
differently? And that's when he said,
Oh,
like,
I was a mechanical engineer, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
from
think we have
mechanical,
that in
I
common.
pivoted to finance.
Yeah.
So I started giving heart attacks to my dad right from a very young age. So
No,
yeah.
I can imagine. So it's that typical thing, right? कि बेटा जो भी करना है engineering के बात कर लो. And actually, I think we applied that in life. Like engineering हो गई ना. Now let me do whatever I want to do. So he spoke to me about 3D printing, and he said, like, I said, हाँ थोड़ा पढ़ा हुआ है. He said, why don't we see a documentary on it? So we sat down that evening and we saw a documentary.
Okay.
And till date, it's really sweet. Like my mom and dad and like my sister, all three of them, they keep asking me a lot of technical questions. Like, okay, how do you 3D print? What do you do? And we did a bunch of things. Like they keep seeing it now, and then they're just
Yes.
like so much more involved. And I think the whole, even the thought of trying to understand what your loved one is doing is much more valuable than even actually understanding it. So I think that just makes a
Absolutely.
really big
Absolutely.
difference.
My family are one of our power users right now. They report
Yeah.
our bugs also on the application. When अगर कोई negative review जाता है, my dad comes and tells me, you know how parents behave when
Yeah.
आपका report card में कम marks आते हैं. He looks at the negative review and says, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
क्या कर रहे हो? Why is this negative review?" Like one
Yeah.
day I just came out from work. I sat on the chair and he was saying this like, "What are these two, three negative reviews? Like what's happening?" So I guess parents will
Yeah.
always be parents irrespective of what
Yeah.
they are.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's
But yeah,
priceless. I
I
think
can
that's priceless.
understand
You
that
have,
whatever you sort of felt. Yeah.
yeah, I think you have investors who put in the money and you've got parents who put in the time in you. So they're like, you can't get any
Big
negative
time.
reviews, Manish. That
Yup,
cannot
yup, yup,
happen.
yup.
I just,
Exactly, exactly.
I,
Big time.
I now just wanted to ask you a little more about the app because now we've
Yes.
spoken about it. And so I've downloaded the app, I've played a little with it. I played the cricket. I sucked
Yes.
horribly at it.
Yes.
But point is that
I hear this a lot from
yeah.
users. Like, like why is this so tough?
Yeah.
Easy बना है तो सबके लिए easy हो जाएगा.
Exactly.
That's
So
right.
if you can just
Yeah.
explain the concept for people who've not heard it, there are a lot of people out there who've
Yes.
not probably used the app, and I'll be adding like a section in the
Absolutely.
podcast where people can just directly skip to the section where
That will be
where the CEO is explaining what Fellow is, who I think will be the right person to do it. So if you can just take the stage and explain the app a little for us.
perfect. Perfect. So as I told initially itself, Fellow is basically a gaming and savings application for the Gen Z and young millennial of India, where you're trying to merge the world of gaming and finance so that people can build better financial profiles. And we're basically trying to make finance extremely fun and exciting. How the app works is very simple. We have digital gold, and eventually we're also going to list several mutual funds listed on the application. Users can start saving and investing into digital gold or mutual funds, whatever they want. For every rupee they save and invest, they get one Fellow token on the application. Using this Fellow token, they can play the games which are listed on the app. Today we have two games. One is cricket, and second one is Indian version of bingo called Tambola. And if they're winning these weekly games, they get to win amazing rewards and prizes. So, for example, you Dhaivik, if you're coming onto the application and if you're saving 1,000 rupees into digital gold, you get 1,000 Fellow tokens. Now, using these 1,000 Fellow tokens, you can expense those tokens to play any of the games. While you're playing these games, if you end up being on the top of the leaderboard, similar to any other gaming application, then you get to win amazing rewards and prizes. And these prizes can be either reinvested into digital gold itself, or you can expense them out for our partner rewards and coupons, gifts, etc. What we have. On one hand, your investment stays very safe. It keeps on growing in digital gold or whatever asset you're putting. On the other hand, you get this added advantage of incentives what you get out of games as well. So through this, we are making entire the experience of finance fun and exciting. So people actually feel they're playing games, but in the back end, they're actually saving and investing. So that is how the initial version of the application works.
Wow. So from what I understand, digital gold, I just wanted to ask you a question about that from a very layman concept. So now digital gold is like instead
Yes.
of walking down to a store and putting in money on a table and buying physical
Yes.
gold, what I'm essentially doing here is I'm buying gold. It's like people probably are a Gen Z will not have the money to buy 1 gram of gold or certain amount of gold tangibly. So what
Exactly.
you can do is you can just like on the app buy
Absolutely.
even worth 100 rupees or whatever amount you choose.
Absolutely. Absolutely spot on over there. And also, like, the reason why you wanted to choose digital gold is, if you look at a TG over here, Daivik, we
Hmm.
are targeting the first time ever investors. We're trying to push them, like our banks se paise nikal ke put into healthy source of investment. That is what we are saying.
Hmm.
Firstly, gold is extremely glued to, Indian ecosystem.
Yeah,
It's very personal to them. Point one.
yeah,
Like, like my family told gold or real estate, but dono mein believe. But I
yeah,
can't put real estate, unfortunately. But we wanted to start off with gold also because it's extremely glued to Indian ecosystem.
Hmm.
Secondly, the barriers of entry to invest into digital gold is very less. You just need your PAN verification to be done. Of course, like as per the government norms, you don't even need PAN verification. But we being a fintech organization, we wanted to have those
basic
KYC measures
information.
in place so
Hmm.
that we're compliant for a long-term needs as well. So we just take the PAN card in. So there's a very less barrier to it. If you want to put into mutual funds, there are 5 to 6 steps of
Hmm.
verification which are needed. So we thought that let's start with small. Let's start with a digital gold, which is everyone understands it. Everyone knows what a digital and what gold is, with zero barriers to entry, almost zero barriers to entry. And from there onwards, we'll start pitching other products as well, starting from mutual funds, index funds, small ticket size peer-to-peer loans as well, which we're seeing on credits and RFP applications also today. And that is how we want to make them much more knowledgeable about different investment vehicles which are lying out there. Also on the gaming front, it's not just 2 games what we are restricting to ourselves to. We're in talks with several other gaming companies for partnerships so that their games will be listed on our application.
Wow. So I think it's like building an ecosystem of A on one side games, B on the other
Yes,
side investment options, and starting with gold
yes,
makes it low barrier to entry, and starting with 2 games makes the app simple, and you can just get
exactly.
going. And how many users have you
Absolutely.
reached by now? Because
Right now,
uh,
as we are speaking right now, we have roughly around 250,000 users are using the
wow,
application.
yeah,
And 94% of these users have been onboarded only through the referral program what we have on the application. So these
yeah,
have been some really good indicators that there's a sense of virality which is associated with the product, and we're trying to completely capitalize in the coming days as well. So we just started spending money into marketing, and that's a very
yeah,
plus point also. Like in our marketing paise ke, we got these many users. So with marketing money, I'm pretty sure
yeah.
that we are sort of touch wood. Like we hope to achieve those milestones pretty soon.
Yeah, I certainly think. I think that without having now that you start spending on marketing, prior to this,
Yeah.
you were not,
Yes.
and uh, the number of users speaks volumes of the quality of the product, right? Because
Yes.
had that not been the case, probably you would not have grown so much in such short time. How long has it been
Absolutely.
now?
I couldn't. Yeah. So this is how we sort of build the product as well. And it was a very, very big learning curve also associated with it, David. So the first version of the proof of concept, we launched it in the month of December last year. We ran it for like 8 weeks. Once the proof of concept was validated, we completed our funding rounds. Once that is done, we had a team of 6 members, 6 to 8 members, who started building the new version of the product. 6 to 8 members, maybe like we just had like a couple of interns and one full-time dev. So we came up with 2 to 3 versions of the products, like different UI UXs of the product. We want to see which is actually working out there. So on August, we launched the second version of the second main version of the product, which
Mm.
was completely functional.
Yeah,
But again, over there, we faced some sort of backlash coming in from users saying that we're not able to understand the product at all. Your idea is extremely great, but you're
yeah,
not able to understand your product. Now that is a very big challenge. Like in spite of you building a multi-million dollar company, if your product is something which users can't understand, it's pointless. So then we made a slight pivot in the product UI UXs.
mm,
Like we had a huge transition, and that happened just within a short span of just 3 to 4 weeks. Thanks for Kika's dev team who
yeah,
made it possible. And
yeah,
then we launched the new version of the product on October 31st.
mm,
Till October 31st, we just had 5,000 users, mind you.
mm,
From that day onwards, the sudden surge came in. The new version of the product was extremely beautiful in terms of UI, UX, understanding what the product does, yeah, like how exactly it looks and feel as well. And then we saw the sudden surge of users coming in. So the peak users which newly got onboarded, it happened from November first week till today, whatever we are sort of speaking today. And that is how and right now we're growing at 30% week on week, which is a
wow,
fantastic number when compared to
yeah.
the startup ecosystem metrics out.
That's insane, man.
Yes.
30% week on week. not a
Yeah,
lot of
and
startups I've heard
exactly.
have
And
that.
everything is happening very organically through referrals, and that has been a big cherry on the top as well. I feel that it has been a very iterative process. We grew along with the customers' interests as well. And I feel that if we did not do those customer interviews, if we weren't involved in talking with people on the customer support, I guess we wouldn't have been wherever we are. And thanks to our very organic, healthy practices, what we had right from day one in communicating with customers, which brought us these many number of users today. If that product pivot or that product UI UX change would not have happened, the product was same. The way the product function was same. It's just the UI UX change which we made and sort of resulted in these many number of users. And also thanks to the slight level of YouTube influencers who organically picked up our what we actually did. Because one of the customer turned out to be a YouTube influencer, and we happened to speak like as a part of a standard practice. We sort of called him like, "Hey, how are you feeling? What do you feel about the application?" We had the feedback, and he gave some good feedback. And told that, "Hey, I'll sort of help you out with making a free video." And through that, the ripple effect actually generated. So several YouTubers starting to reach out to us saying that, "Hey, I'll make a video. Will you pay me?" We told them we'd not pay anyone, by the way. So अगर आपको free में करना है, अभी के लिए आप कर सकते हैं. Eventually, we'll partner with you for other influencer marketing things, which you're doing right now with several influencers.
No, that's quite cool. That's quite cool. Also, in terms of, if I can just ask and understand, what is the revenue model like? So, do you make a percentage?
Yes.
I just wanted to understand what the revenue model for a startup like.
Very simple, yeah. So since we partner with banks and with mutual fund companies, we partner with a digital gold organization, we have banking partners. It always works on a commission fee model. That is one thing which we had, but a new stream of revenue also started opening up for us, which is in terms of these branding partnerships what we're having with these B2C and D2C companies. Now, our TG is 21 to 25-year-old people. Our product is something which we were able to prove stickiness on the application, and every D2C company out there is craving for the attention of these 21 to 25-year-old people. So we started getting requests from these companies saying that, "Hey, we will start sponsoring your gaming rewards. We will start sponsoring all the incentives. You don't give any incentives from your pocket. You just tell that this week's Fello game is sponsored by XYZ company. And you just do it." And we recently had a first partnership. Like there's a very big food chain in Hyderabad, Bangalore called Buffalo Wild Wings. We partnered with them. We're also in talks with several other companies as well right now. And through that, a new revenue line opened up for us as well. So, but again, this is not just savings is the first product what we're starting up with, but eventually we have several other products which are aligned, which will solve several other problem statements. Through that, several other revenue models will be starting to open up.
Wow, I think that's quite interesting. Things just fall in place. One
you think of X, Y comes from nowhere. I guess that is what we sort of saw with Fello.
No, absolutely. And in terms of the target audience that you were mentioning, a target audience of 21 to 25. Now, I wanted to ask you.
Yes.
Yes, that is a very interesting audience, but that audience is also a very low attention span audience. So I just wanted to ask you that. Are you only restricting, or is the data say that it's only 21 to 25, or have you all decided it? But does the reality say otherwise? Just wanted to understand.
So as you told initially, Fello was a product which we did not want to squeeze into the market. The customer interview spoke for it. And we saw these trends happening with the working individuals between 21 to 25, between tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities. So that is why we sort of fixated on these users. And right now, 75% of our users fall within this TG only. And the remaining 25 are coming from the other TG sources as well. But again, if you see, we're targeting on the first-time investors over here. You see the first-time investors fall under this region only. So the first product, if it is sort of created for the first-time investors, we wanted to stick to this TG. But one of the biggest question what we start getting is, like your users will grow, their financial needs will also grow. So don't you think you'll sort of lose out on users? So that is when we as a company will also grow. You will see a first-time. If you think yourself, Daivik, when you started your working, say at 21 years, आपके salary के साथ, the first thing what you did is you might start saving in a bank or like any form of saving. 2-3 साल तक आप save ही करते हो. Right now we're solving the savings problem. The second thing what you want to do for yourself is like you want to buy an iPhone for yourself. You want to buy a mobile phone or a bike for yourself. That's the first time you get introduced to the concept of lending. So that is when you want to build venture into the space of lending in a completely gamified space. Now, third thing, what you want to do is you want to get in a trading ecosystem. Now, trading may want to do it in a game. And finally, your family comes into picture, you grow big, insurance comes into place. Now, that is when you want to build game-based insurance, the ecosystem. So taking gaming as the front phase, we want to solve all these problem statements which a 21 to 25-year-old will start facing, and through him or her, we want to grow the product as well, so that he or she can sort of stick onto the platform. And best thing is, we're not trying to squeeze a behavior over here. Gaming is something which they're actually doing. We're capitalizing on their existing user behavior itself over here. So that is why, attention bhi nahi jayega in users ka. They'll stick onto the application, and that is something which we have proven also during the initial days, that the average time spent on the application today by a user is around 20 minutes, which is way more, which is surpassing several other savings and investment applications today.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
eventually, in the long run, it just goes up and up. Then I guess that retention also turns out to be a big problem statement what we are solving by just merging gaming with finance.
Correct.
So yeah, that's how we
Absolutely.
are trying to solve it.
Absolutely. And this thing which you said, that going from one product to another, like right now it's digital gold, moving to insurance and various other things. So
Yes.
does that also mean that as you're adding more products, your TG is moving from, let's say, 21 to 25 to increasing the age barrier? Is that what you're
Absolutely.
trying to put across?
Absolutely. Like, the users will increase. The user age group will increase. So of course,
Yeah.
we need to sort of retain them for the long run, because your lifetime value need to be increasing for sure. Because
Correct.
user won't restrict to one product. I don't want a user to sort of jump from my product to some other product. Like saving or investment CK, I don't want him to sort of jump to another product for his insurance needs or something. I want to offer them everything in the same fashion what he's expecting in a gamified
Correct.
fashion. So that is
Correct.
why this is going to be. But our biggest focus is going to be on this first time people only, because millions and millions of people on an yearly basis are coming into this,
That bracket.
working force, young 21 to 25-year-old bracket. So that is why that will be the biggest concentration. But since we don't want to lose out on these users also, we want to tap onto the other products as well. And their big money is lying over there, because 21 to 25 people invest small, they sort of save small, but once their age grows big, they put in the big money as well, and they want to put in the big money. They need other complementary products. So that is where we are sort of having a neo banking, route in the long run.
Wow. I think that you guys are headed in an absolutely explosive direction. And I'd just like to wish you all the best.
Thanks a lot for that, Vivek. I mean, yeah.